My name is Brandon Chang. I'm a sophomore chemical engineer from Houston.
Howdy, my name is Driscoll Julia. I'm a second year Plan 2 chemical engineering major.
Awesome. I'm Carol.
Well, hi, my name's Everardo Araujo. I'm a second year biomedical engineering student.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm a student at the University of Texas, psychology major.
My name is Nicole. I am a second year international relations major and I'm from Houston, Texas.
I'm Devin. I'm 22 years old from McAllen, Texas. I went to boarding school in Connecticut. That's a little bit about me.
My name is Natalia Gonzalez. I'm a chemical engineer major, second year. I'm Colombian, and I used to swim in high school, and I love Nutella.
I'm Sophia, second year, and I'm a math major.
My name is Aislinn. I'm from Houston, and I'm 22 years old.
Well, I'm not too keen on poetry. I personally prefer short stories or just novels in general, but I think poetry is really interesting. The way that they weave words together and have rhymes going and have such an underlying meaning is just really, really interesting.
Not really like into poetry. I prefer more, fiction work. So I've been a poetry fan, so not much of a connection there.
I feel like poetry is almost like a guideline for painting a blank canvas in your mind. It's seeing art in your mind's eye.
I mean, like being an engineering guy, really literature and like any English sort of writing isn't my like forte, I guess, isn't my strong suit. But I guess what I've read, a few bits of poetry I remember reading, I guess it's just a different way to write and like express different meanings, I guess, without like explicitly saying it out loud. It's just like you read it one time and it's like, oh, maybe there's something else in there. You can go through it again and it has like possibly like another meaning that you didn't see at first.
I feel like poetry is relaxing, or at least it can be. You can take something really simple and make it really grand by your choice of words and how you talk about something, how you choose to relay that information. It's nice.
I think poetry is just a good way for people to express themselves. I mean, I definitely see the value in poetry. I just never had that much interest in it, probably because of the way they taught it back in like junior and high school. It was kind of a thing you had to do. So I never got to explore it myself. I'm sure if I sat down and took the time, I would enjoy it. It's just, I don't have that much time, but I mean, I do wish I could understand it more. I feel like most of the time I read it, I don't really know what I'm reading, so.
Yeah, I like poetry. I don't read it as often as I'd like to, but I've always enjoyed poetry. I kind of liked being able to go see what the author meant by different things they would say. And it's kind of how you get to understand language better and the different uses and the different connotations that different words have in different places that you can use them. So yeah, I'm a fan. Definitely.
I mean, they're interesting sometimes, but I don't know, I don't read a lot of poetry, but they're fun when we read it in class for like a lecture or something.
I guess poetry is just a form of expression. To me, it just depends for the poetry for me, because some poetry is just really abstract, and so I don't really understand it, and some of it's just really straightforward where it doesn't seem like poetry, but it's just a way that people can express themselves.
That is a thick poem.
A child said, "What is the grass?"
Fetching it to me with full hands.
How could I answer the child?
I do not know what it is any more than he.
I guess it must be the flag of my disposition.
Out of hopeful green stuff woven.
Or I guess it is the handkerchief of the Lord.
A scented gift and remembrancer decidedly dropped.
Bearing the owner's name some way in the corners that we may see and remark and say whose.
Or I guess the grass is itself a child.
The produced babe of the vegetation.
Or I guess it is a uniform hieroglyphic, and it means
Sprouting alike in broad zones and narrow zones, growing among black folks
as among white.
Canuck, Tuckahoe,
Congressman,
Cuff.
I give them the same.
I receive them the same.
And now it seems to me the beautiful uncut hair of graves.
tenderly will I use you curling grass.
It may be you transpire from the breasts of young men,
it may be if I had known them, I would have loved them.
It may be you are from old people and from women.
And from offspring taken soon out of their mother's laps.
And here you are, the mother's laps.
This grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers.
Darker than the colorless beards of old men.
Dark to come from under the faint red roofs of mouths.
Oh, I perceive after all so many uttering tongues.
And I perceive they do not come from the roofs of mouths for nothing.
I wish I could translate the hints about the dead young men and women.
And the hints about old men and mothers and the offspring taken soon out of their laps.
It has become of the young and old men.
What do you think has become of the women and children?
They are alive and well somewhere.
The smallest sprout shows there's really no death.
And if ever there was, led forward life,
And does not wait at the end to arrest it.
And ceased the moment life appeared.
all goes onward and outward.
And nothing collapses.
And to die is different from what anyone supposed.
And luckier.
I felt that was pretty different from other poems that I've read personally. That was more modern. It didn't have the same pentameter or flow that I'm used to. So it was just an interesting take on poetry that I've never seen before.
I don't know, like it's beautifully written. I don't really understand it because I think that's my issue with poetry is that I never really can understand it.
I know he mentioned a lot like the grass and like just like different forms of it, I guess, like how it's like darker, sometimes it's lighter, sometimes like it's sprouting toward the end. He mentioned it. So, and then he mentions like different types of people. So I'm not sure if he's trying to compare like some type of people to I guess the grouse, like the grass, I guess the different forms it takes.
There was a feeling of what it meant to be living and where life comes from. I think it was definitely a poem that tried to figure out like what it means to be living and how to explain life to someone who's really not sure what it's about, even when you don't know what it means.
I personally may not have been reading it correctly, but I feel like it was a bit more fragmented, and based on the different scenes that were presented in the poem, it seemed like it was a lot of different images coming at the same time, so that fragmented flow seemed to really accentuate that.
Okay, at first I was a little, I guess confused, not confused, but it's kind of like I'm reading words, but what am I reading? But then you get more into it and you can, I guess I understood more what he was talking about. It really stuck out to me when he started talking about graves, because then I could picture it, what he was talking about, the mother's laps, the people that he could have known, maybe he would have liked them if he did know them.
I guess that people are not different, I guess, right? That everyone is alike, and that if you live and die, it's kind of just life, and it goes that way.
It sounded quite sad. So
yeah, in what way?
It's talking about like old people, like younger people aging, I suppose, and like there was about like dying and you know the grass, like dead people lying under the grass. I think.
Pretty morbid, right?
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
I've read it before, and so I just kind of got it as Whitman saying there's nothing really like if you die, you're kind of reborn as something else. There's no finite end. Things are taken, things are given. It's all a process.
It's wistful and somber, and to me it seems very appreciative of nature while also, I guess, bringing out the darkness that nature also holds, like that balance, life and death, you know, love and abandonment.
I didn't really, when I was reading it, I didn't think of it as anything other than grass, because I guess quite literally the grass is always there and it'll grow and die and always be there in the same spot. Yeah, the grass has kind of been through it all.
The blades and leaves of grass, it was kind of interpreted as if it was a book, and so it was like the leaves of grass and kind of as pieces of paper. And then within the context of that little section that I just read, it was like he was being Whitman, or the the speaker himself was being presented from a boy these blades of grass that he had picked off the ground, and how it was like, oh, that sprouted from somebody else having to die, return to the ground, become the nutrients for the grass. So it's all just reciprocal.
I don't know, it seems to me that the grass is somewhat like supposed to be synonymous to like people, somewhat of a representation of like who we are as people.
I think the grass for Walt Whitman was just a symbol, like one of many things in the world that represents life. It's like something that's very insignificant to everyday life, but it's still like a large part of what we are as humans. And I guess everything from the smallest roots of life to what it means to be like a living, walking organism is just really profound to Whitman, especially.
I guess like a specific group of people, I guess. I'm not sure which ones, but yeah, I guess a race or, yeah, some type of people.
I don't know, I guess just life.
Life?
Yeah, I guess. Or like the womb, I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I know it talks about mothers and life and stuff, so I don't know. Like,
yeah,
the grass could be. I feel so dumb saying this.
No wrong
honestly,
answers, like, seriously.
I don't know, like child or something. Life. I don't know. Like, I feel like it goes into somewhere around there.
I feel like he was kind of talking about how the grass is no different from like people, because like he was comparing like the child with the grass in the beginning. I think maybe it's like kind of like the spirit of the dead or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know.
That's good.
Sounds like poetry.
Sweet.